Hey everybody, it's Brad Montgomery. I'm a business keynote speaker, and today we're presenting video number 3 in a series. We're talking about combating workplace burnout, especially for government employees. And this video is especially about social and emotional support. So what is that? Social and emotional support is something you already know. It's what your grandma did. It's what your second grade teacher did. It's making sure people feel seen, making sure they're heard, making sure no one feels like a number, making sure we do our best to connect both ourselves and those people around us to higher purpose and meaning, which turns out helps us feel better. It makes us feel less overwhelmed. It builds our scientifically measurable level of happiness, and definitely it can have a massive impact on burnout. So before I give you my 4 tips, and they're good ones, I do want to tip something in the room, which is these are tips. These are hacks. They work. You should use them. And, it can be complicated. Working for the government can be really complicated, can't it? Workplace culture can be complicated. So, I'm a big boy, and we are all adults, and we know that if I were to say, this is the magic bullet that'll make your life perfect, you wouldn't believe me. But that doesn't weaken what I'm about to tell you. So let's get started. 4 tips. How do we combat employee burnout, especially in the government? Well, the first one is to lean on your network. You got a network, don't you? This is not complicated. This just means some days when it's really tough, you need to call a buddy and say, let's go to coffee. I need to buy you a cup of coffee because I just need someone to talk to. Maybe it's calling your parents. Maybe it's that person in the next desk who thinks like you, and you could just go on a walk and say, like, that meeting was hard on me. How about you? Oh my God, yeah. So it turns out talking about our joys and our sorrows has a massive impact on our ability to handle stress. It's really that simple. Now, of course, it can easily delve into the whining stratosphere. So you want to be careful of that. When you're talking about things at work that are hard, you don't want to be too whiny, because not only is that hard on the person in your network, your buddy, your family member, your spouse, your dog. Not only is it hard on them, but also that becomes a habit in your brain. And once you've followed that negative trail too far, it's really hard to get yourself into a realm of positivity, which is where you want to be. So even though I'm telling you to lean on your network, I want you to be careful to say, this is a problem, ask them for advice, listen, and start with the goal and leave with the goal. I just needed to know someone cared. I know, simple, right? You've got this. All right, so next thing we can do is, no matter where you are on the org chart in your government silo organization, you can have a positive impact on the employee work culture. So if you're a leader, it's true. Leaders have a bigger impact than other people, but I've talked to many organizations where everyone in the room will point to the person who is responsible for the culture, and often they are not the leader. Sometimes they're the person at the reception desk or whatever. So you've got power. Let's wield it. So what does this mean? That means we're going to encourage people to check in. What does that mean? That means it is very powerful just to go up to somebody and say, how's it going? And they're going to say, fine. And you're like, no, I'm saying, how's it going? Are you okay? I know. If you're a peer, you can just check in and say, like, I'm a little worried about you. Are you doing okay? That is so powerful. Sometimes it just makes the little gray cloud that's following us go away when we know that somebody has our back. But when you do that with people who are sort of below you in the pecking order, it has an even greater impact. So that doesn't mean necessarily somebody who is your direct report, but it might mean somebody who's just a new hire, and you check in with them and say, how are you? How's it going? Now, if you're a leader, you can take that a lot further, and you can say, what do you need? How's the training going? How do you see your role in this part of the government? Where do you want to go? Because maybe I can help you get there. Oh, you want to be a manager? Well, let's talk. Let's put you in sort of a path, and I want you to lean on me. That is powerful stuff. All right, so you're going to be part of building a better, let me say, I think I just told him I'm a professional speaker. You're going to build a better employee work culture. You're going to take responsibility for doing it yourself. And you're going to realize that helps other people feel less isolated, less lonely, less overwhelmed, less stressed. But here's the other thing that is so crucial. When you invest in making someone else's day better using social and emotional support with these types of check-ins, you know who benefits the most? Yeah, you. It's this crazy side effect. When we help other people, that person definitely gets a little boost. They either get some help, some like tactical advice, or sometimes they just get a spill of dopamine and serotonin to make themselves feel better. But the person who benefits most is the person giving that support. That's you. It seems contrary, right? If you're feeling like you're burnt out, what you crave is to have someone come and fix it. But amazingly, when you take the time to fix it for someone else, that fixes it for you. I know. This makes sense. We've all experienced this thing. A good example for me is during the pandemic, when I worked at a food bank serving others, I became less depressed because during the pandemic, I was a mess. I had this amazing job as a business speaker, traveling around the country, making people laugh, teaching people, and it was cut off, and it was really hard on me. I'm embarrassed to tell you, what finally worked for me was working at a food bank, being of service to others. That helped me feel less burnt out. All right, we're on to tip number 3 about managing burnout, especially if you're a government employee, and that is set some boundaries and ask for help. Asking for help is so hard for us, especially, I think it's true, it just seems like especially for dudes. We're told, don't cry, rub some dirt on it. We've got a weird culture, and then you grow up and you feel like you just need a hug, and that is not cool in most workplaces to say, I just need a hug. But I'm telling you, it's a sign of strength when you ask for help. You want to be careful how you phrase it. To some people, you don't want to ask for a hug. But for just say like, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed with this project that I'm working on. I think you might know that. I'd love to talk it through with you. I'd love some ideas. Is there any way you can help me with it? And one of two things are going to happen, and they're both good. You might get tactical help. Someone might be able to drop what they're doing to help you. But also, you're going to just feel better when they start to understand, oh, you are going through something difficult. I get it now. I didn't know that. I can't be there with my hands, but I can be wildly supportive of you. That is really powerful. Again, just sometimes knowing someone else has your back really can help us feel less burnt out. The key, though, is asking for it. We are often afraid that it's a sign of weakness to say, I'm struggling with this project, or I'm falling behind, or it's a sign of weakness to say, like, I'm just feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling burnt out. I really could use some help. You seem like you're the kind of person who might be able to offer some advice. Do you have 5 minutes or 15 minutes, or can I take you to lunch, or can we sit outside at the bench and eat our sandwiches? All right, ask for help and then set boundaries. Now, setting boundaries at work, that is a thing, isn't it? But it's complicated. I think it's healthy. Everyone needs to have boundaries. Here are the things I will not do. But you just want to be careful in how you set those boundaries with those people you work with, because if it comes off really grumpy, it can be super off-putting and, as a career limiter. If you let everyone know you're not really a team player, well, you got a problem. But having calm, measured, hopefully happy conversations about the working at 10 p.m. on Saturday, that's just killing me. I got to stop doing that, or I'm going to have to quit. And I don't want to quit because I like this job. How are we going to make sure that I can set that boundary and keep the organization humming? All right, you know what you're doing. Set some boundaries. Be careful with your tone when you're setting the boundaries. Be careful with what you think there might be a difference between what you're doing is setting boundaries and having a conversation about that, but you might accidentally be communicating that you're not really a team player. careful of that. All right, we're on the fourth tip. I love this one. How do you combat burnout, especially if you're a corporate or, a government employee? Well, the deal is to celebrate wins together. All right, what do I mean? So there is a thing, if you Google it, it's the theory of small wins. And it goes like this. Sometimes when you have a really big project, it can be completely overwhelming to think, how am I going to get through this project? It's a 5-year project or something. So that means you need to be looking through your job and looking for tiny little wins that allow you to say, all right, I got that one. Woo, high five, jazz hands. So that might mean we got through, there is an obvious, if it's a 10-part thing and you did the first one, you better have a party in that, at least in your mind. But sometimes it can be little things like, all right, I showed up for work on time. How about that? Hey, I was able to work without being interrupted for 2 hours, and I think I got some stuff done. Woo! On a really tough day, it's like, my pencil is really sharp. What happens if we celebrate these small wins is we start tricking our brains. We start telling our brain, all right, hey, we're making progress. I'm happy. Look, I reached a guidepost. I did something good. And then our brain starts to enjoy those moments. And then our brain starts to feel good about it and feeds that back to us with serotonin and dopamine. It makes our brains scientifically happier. Let me give you an example of this. Took my kids to Disneyland, and it was in the summer, and it was just awful. And we were in this big line, like the grids that go back and forth and back. So you see it, and we all made a calculation. Wow, that is a lot. Okay, we can do it. Let's get in line. So we waited, and we're going, this way. We finally get up, and we turn the corner. We're so excited. We won. Victory. We won. Then you turn the corner. It was another line. There was another room that had another maze in it. And then sure enough, we went through there like, oh, we did it. Then you turn around, we were turned into another line. Disney knows about the theory of small wins. It was too overwhelming to get in one big long line. But they broke those lines into 3 manageable lines and made us all feel like, oh, we got through it, and fed us a little bit of happiness. This works with our life too. Look for small wins. So maybe it's like, how about that? I got home from work today and I was able to work out. Usually I'm too exhausted, but today I did. That is a massive win. Or, I really enjoyed having lunch with my coworker, and we didn't talk about work at all. And I grew a little bit closer to that coworker. Maybe it's, I had to do, I'm working on a project I don't totally love, but today I was working on something that was genuinely interesting. Maybe it's, hey, I don't necessarily love what I'm doing right now, but this knowledge is going to help me as I move through my career. This is a marketable, trainable skill that as I move to other silos in the government or whatever, we all want to go up to the next step. I'm learning a skill that's going to help me do exactly that. All right. That's it. Social and emotional support. In summary, what we're talking about is small things where we make other people feel good. Small things where we try to find things that make us look good can be really powerful, especially if we take the time to notice them and label them. It can change our happiness. The science of happiness is a thing. All of these things are super easy. So let's go through it really quick. Lean on your network, build a positive culture, set boundaries, and ask for help. Don't forget the ask for help part. And then finally, celebrate small wins. All of these things seem, as I said at the beginning of the video, like they're so straightforward they can't possibly be powerful. Don't fall into that trap. Start today, you'll be amazed. So again, what I can't do is if you got that one horrible coworker that smells bad and takes their shoes off and annoys you and whatever I can't fix that, can I? I can't. But when we're talking about, are you able to set a mindset where you can go to work, figure out a way to get joy out of it, figure out a way to get meaning out of it, and leave feeling good about life and not burnt out? Well, You can do that with these 4 tips. Now, if you're in a situation where you would like to have a presenter come in and run your people through this to talk about positivity in a strategic and tactical way, and also someone who can do it in a really fun way and make your team laugh, well, I'd love to be your guy. You can visit me at bradmontgomery.com. All right, burnout is a thing, but you've got this. Now you've got 4 tips. Government folks, I love you. We need you. You're important. Don't quit.